candidate in the Department of Political Science at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. And I'm here to moderate this excellent panel, which is titled Save Ocean Life, Refuse Plastic. So I'll introduce the panel, and hopefully we'll go for no more than maybe 40-45 minutes, and then open it up to the floor. So the first panelist here on my right is Mr. Yusuph Masanja from Nipe Fabio Limited. And he is asked to be excused when it hits 1 p.m., so excuse him when he has to leave. Next to him is Professor Yusuph Mgaya, who's the Director General for the National Institute of Medical Research and the Vice Chairman of the National Environment Trust Fund. To my left here is the wonderful Ms. Nancy Iraba, who's an excellent environmentalist and aquaculturalist, and she will share some of her experiences trying to raise awareness on some of these issues, especially with young people. To the left of her is Mr. Bahati Mayoma, who's a lecturer at the University of Dodoma, who specializes in microplastic and has done a lot of research in this area. As we all know, plastic pollution has become a global environmental phenomenon, and because plastics are not biodegradable, the issue of plastic contamination in the oceans will not go away unless we do something. Our beautiful sandy beaches are polluted with plastic bottles, earbuds, grocery bags, straws, and several other contaminants. This is largely due to the versatility of plastic in our daily lives. Plastic is a fairly useful thing to have. So we have convened this panel to discuss several things, and I'll open it up with several questions that we hope to have answered either through the panel discussion or the Q&A session. The first is, how do we refuse plastic? How do we deal with plastic? What is the public policy things that need to be implemented to try to limit the negative effects of plastic? How do we raise awareness? And I'm sure Ms. Iraba here will tell us a little bit of that, of our work in that area, to make citizens aware and be able to achieve a plastic-free ocean life. Who should assist the campaign against plastic pollution in the Western Indian Ocean, and where do we begin to save ocean life? So to begin the discussion, I'd like to ask Professor Mgaya to give us just a little bit of some statistics to contextualize the problem. Thank
you. Good afternoon, everyone. I've been adequately introduced. Originally, I'm from the University of Dar, still very much connected to the University of Dar, through the work I do with postgraduate students at the University of Dar. When I was asked to avail time and be here with you today, I almost said, time. But because of the passion I have for matters, oceans, all matters, marine environment, I managed to set aside some time. Let me give you some statistics. And the aim of these statistics is to make you appreciate the magnitude of the problem that up to 5 trillion, that's our nine. 5 trillion grocery bags are used each year. And like most plastic garbage, barely any is recycled. It's single use. You use it, you throw it. I've not seen people going to grocery stores or supermarkets with used plastic bags. Each time you go there, can you buy single use? 5 trillion. Now, at current levels, the Earth, our planet, could be awash with 12 billion tons of plastic by the year 2050. 12 billion. Now, our oceans have been used as a dumping ground, and in the process, choking life and transforming some marine areas into a plastic soup. if you go to areas we call marine gyres, these are huge currents that circulate. If you take sample water from within the gyre, it's like a soap of micro, nano plastics, and macro plastics. That is the state. Now, in cities around the world, plastic waste clogs drains, causing floods and breeding disease. Now, plastics are consumed by fish. They also find their way, or plastics have found their way into the food chain. Most of this plastic garbage clogging waterways and landfill is single-use items, as I said. Things like straws, bags, and cutlery, plastic forks, plastic spoons, and the like. Now, the 5 trillion plastic bags consumed each year equal nearly 10 million plastic bags per minute. 10 million plastic bags per minute dumped into the ocean. Some 79% of plastic ever made has ended up dumped. 79%. And there's a lot of plastic that has been made. Now, 79% of that has ended up dumped with hardly any reused or destroyed. By the way, the chemical composition of plastic is very stable, extremely stable. Won't break down easily. Just 9%. 9% of the 9 billion tons of plastic the world has ever produced has been recycled. Only 9% has been recycled. 91% is sitting out there in our environment. Only a little, more than 12%, has been incinerated. Very little. If you count the number of incineration plants in the Salaam, you probably find them in hospital environments only. Outside hospital environments, there's no incineration. Now this leaves only landfill, oceans, and waterways as the resting place, the sink for the world's plastic trash, where it takes thousands of years to decompose. Thousands of years to decompose. Now, plastic clogging sewers, which is a major problem in slums across the developing world, can spread disease or end up in the stomach. Now, plastic has been found in nearly every level of the oceanic food chain. Every level. Right from the plankton level. From large predators like sharks and whales, to turtles. Turtles, by the way, are very close to Lindsay's heart, you know. And jellyfish. No animal is safe from accidental ingestion, even us. You drink water, think it's clean. You analyze the water, you think nanoplastics. So none of us is safe. Now, even plankton, the tiniest of marine organisms, have ingested plastic. In some areas of the ocean, like the Great Pacific garbage patch, plastic mass exceeds the local zooplankton population by a factor of 6. Now, an estimated 100 million metric tons of plastic are present in the Earth's oceans. 100 million metric tons. That's a huge tonnage of useless material and dangerous material in our oceans. Now, if one plastic bag can bring down birds begging and fish, imagine the consequences of this number. Now, the effects of plastic on marine life are so devastating. Soon, the planet's sea animals and birds will end up with nothing but statistics. That once upon a time, we had the albatrosses. Once upon a time, we had the turtles because of plastics. Now species will slowly become endangered and then they'll go extinct, they'll disappear. Now, garbage floating at sea costs fishing, costs shipping, and tourism industries. In Asia Pacific, there's a figure here, in Asia Pacific alone, plastics in sea, if you put together costs, fishing, shipping, and tourism, amounted to $1.3 billion a year. Huge amount of money. This money is enough to build a standard gauge railway to Dodoma. This money, you get it. Chairman, those are some of the statistics. They are quite startling. They they don't make any comfortable anyone who cares about marine. So something clear ought to be done about this.
So, continuing from what the professor said and with the statistics, given the extent of the problem, I wanted to start with Ms. Nancy Iraba. If you could just tell us a little bit of some of the work that she's done with young people. So what do you think in your experience in terms of raising awareness, particularly with young Tanzanians? What is the thing that would resonate with young people? What are the things that you think will work in terms of raising awareness of this problem?
Good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, I'd like to give a bit of background concerning the works which I've done with young people. It was last year in September, whereby I sat and I realized that too much emphasis is being kept in terrestrial ecosystem compared to aquatic. Then I said, why? There are so many organizations, like we have our fellows, Humanity Environment, I think they have also put a lot of work in making sure that afforestation is done. Then I thought something has to be done with aquatic ecosystems. And the statistics which were shown, as Professor said, and the statistics which were shown by United Nations, that by 2050, there is a possibility that our oceans is going to have a lot of plastic compared to fish. And I don't think we should sit down and wait for that moment to come. So I thought as an individual I should do something. So without any support, I can say without any support, with initiatives and support from Aqua-Farms Organization, we started making movements in different schools, giving awareness on aquatic resources. Telling them like, let me tell you something from my experience. Actually, where's Mariam? Are you here? Yes. The girl Mariam is from Yangwani Secondary School, which is the first school I first visited. And I remember from the lessons which I was teaching them, I was first teaching them about the endangered species. The sea turtles which are close to Lindsay Heart, whale sharks. I was telling them that the ocean is so blessed and it needs young people like them to protect. So as I was conveying, you could see some of them, the eyes were already, they were widening up like, okay, so the ocean has this and this. It's not only about fish. So before even you finish the presentation, the action is like, all of them, how can we take part in this? So to me, the moral of the story is like, when we want to make awareness, first of all, we should concentrate with the young people. Young people have energy. Young people can save. Young people can feel it. I'm not saying that the old people should be excluded, but remember, we are the generation, we are the future. Telling young people like, this and this is bad, and showing what's the motives behind. I think it will much more contribute to the better generation. First of all, we should start with why. Why am I eating plastic solution? Why are you telling me that single use should be banned? You should have the reasons behind. Then after that, when you touch someone's heart, I think awareness programs becomes very easy as long as you have positive motives behind. You should touch their hearts. So for the purpose of the project, actually I managed to visit Jangwani and Kisutu. And after there, to measure their understanding, we used to give quizzes to see are they really understood. and they used to perform very well, and some of them shown interest. They say, like, can we come to work with the organization? We want to participate in this beach cleaning. So you see, it's like the heart really wanted to be there. It's like when you just tell them what to, when you show them the way, when you show them that when you dump plastic, there is entanglement which can happen to sea turtles, and as Professor said that only 9% of the plastics which are being dumped get recycled, which is really, really bad. I can refer it from Zephaniah's presentation. I think he gave a presentation on the effects of plastic pollution on marine wildlife, basing on the sea turtles, whale shark, and dugong, exactly. So I was exactly basing on the same topic, showing that these species are endangered, and if we continue with the plastic pollution, it means in the next generation, there is a possibility that people won't be able to see these species, and they are our value. We should value them. So I think we should think about cultural heritage. It's our heritage, it's our sea turtles, and from Zipper's presentation, I realized that we have only 7 species of sea turtles. So when we dump plastic pollution, or with all the entanglement, it causes death. So what I advise is that when we join hands in giving awareness, we should start off, why is it bad? It's not about dumping the plastics, but it's about why is it bad, as Professor suggested, as Professor gave the statistics. There's a lot of pollution which is being done. There's a lot of dumping of waste. And I know that we are people from different careers. It's not a responsibility of a marine scientist. It's not a responsibility of Nipe Fabio, and it's not a responsibility of Aqua-Farms or Yusuph, but it's a responsibility of us all to make sure that our oceans are conserved. So to me, I'm a youth myself, but I'm very, very passionate with the young people. It's like when you see me talking to young people, it's like I'm in my area. Right now, yeah, I'm shaking. I don't know if you can. Right now, yeah, I'm shaking. Actually, it's my first time being seated with my professor. He taught me genetics seriously. I'm sitting here with him. I'm shaking, but I had to balance gender. Sorry, I've revealed the secret, but I had to balance gender and share my experience. But I'm not so confident. When you hear me talking with young people, I shout, but here I need to be like calm. But all in all, I know I'm not asked about this question, but the Aquatic Resource Education Program, it was conducted only in 3 schools. I had to stop it because there was lack of funds. And support was only from my organization, which were very few. So as I'm conveying here, I know that we're making a lot of movements towards ending the plastic pollution, but I advocate for all of us to support such programs, especially in schools. Let's recognize that young people are the future, and young people have the better opportunity to make great changes. So I really wish to continue once more, but I know that I'm talking to potential people right here. I would really need your support because I've seen the impact which it has done. My aim was to create clubs, ocean ambassadors clubs, whereby people can have a voice with the ocean. So I believe after here, I could make some connections. I believe after here, I could get people to join me, whereby we can start again the movement, not only in Dar es Salaam, but we can go all over, and I believe we can be able to prevent a world that it's predicted to have more plastics in the ocean than fish. Thank you.
Wonderful. So Ms. Nancy Iraba has given us one way to think about solving this problem of plastic pollution. She has, through her own initiative and efforts, raised awareness with young people. So it seems to me that one of the biggest things that we are missing is that there is a potential for the government of Tanzania, for all the stakeholders of marine life and marine welfare to work with people like Ms. Nancy Iraba to raise awareness among people. Especially young people, she says, because the youth are the future. So I wanted to ask a little bit of Mr. Yusuph Masanja of Nipe Fabio. So Ms. Nancy Iraba mentioned that, you know, it seems to me that we aren't doing enough. Professor has told us that only 9% of all the plastic that has ever been produced has been recycled. He has told us 21% has been incinerated, speculating that in fact in Dar es Salaam, probably the only incinerators are found in hospitals. So if you were to ask the minister, for example, Honorable January Makamba, and you had a chance to advise him on what to do, it seems to me there is a lot of potential to increase recycling. There is a lot of potential to increase the incineration. There's a lot of potential on the incentive side to try and incentivize people to not just do the single use of plastic. And then there's a lot of potential, as Ms. Iraba is doing in her work, in raising awareness with the youth. So what do you think you would inform the Honorable Minister based on your experience and your own opinion?
Well, thank you. That's a very difficult question. And I saw in those documents when I was going through this section where it's touched on the mythologies of incineration, recycling, and I'm not sure what that is, and I'm so curious that if I was going to be here longer and hear what the speaker was going to say about that. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist, by the way. I'm not a scientist like you guys. I don't have a PhD or master's. And I don't know anything about incineration. I know a little bit about recycling. That was my first project back in 2012. I did a massive recycling revolution in Dar es Salaam, all districts. Back then I was working with Jennifer. That was my first involvement with this plastic pollution. But what I can add to that, so she has highlighted one aspect which is key about young people, youth-led collective movement, and you added something about what the minister will be doing, and that is like legal policy now, because for me this is like a way big scale problem in the world right now. And when you speak about the ocean, you're not just talking about the western part, it's not just about Tanzania. It's global. This problem is global. And you can be ethical right here in Dar, in Tanzania, but if Chinese are polluting, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel all the, I mean, if the ice is melting right now in the Arctic, in the Antarctic, it affects you. The sea level rise. Everyone in Dar es Salaam is right? So this is a global issue, and when it becomes a global issue, Honorable, the camera's I would advise that he switches his filter and starts looking at this as a global problem that requires mass governmental collaboration. So it's not about what he does as a minister in Tanzania, but also it is about what he does as a minister in line. It's about the alignment here, in line with the government of Kenya, East Africa, and global. Because this is a global problem, it's a global threat, it affects everyone. So moving beyond the local recycling incineration centers in Dar es Salaam, I would say, you know what? Let's get to the facts. What scientists are saying. I'm not a scientist, but I do understand, and I actually have to challenge you, scientists and educators here, because what I see increasingly is that you adapt a neutral position in most of ethical and political debates, and this is a political debate. This is not just a bunch of CSO and nice people in the streets meeting and discussing about the effects of plastic. I mean, no, this is a crucial ethical question that requires religious leaders in it, faith communities in it, that requires politicians in it. And then these groups cannot do nothing. I mean, there's nothing they can do if you scientists adapt to a neutral status as you always do, because they're like, I'm not a politician, I'm not religious. Come on, this is a room where we need science to give us facts, because we are already so much entitled by the human rights to speak our opinion, to share our opinion. But where are the facts? Who knows? You guys know. because you have done your research, your studies, the data you're giving us, and that's when we need you to, and that's what I would ask the minister, that, Your Excellency, please, let's hear what the scientists are saying. Let them give us facts. And then let's turn to the young people and say, young people, based on these facts, and as we're saying, touch their hearts, be, empathize with them a little more, you know? It's about the factual learning. How do they learn? How do the young people learn? It's not like we're gonna go there, get them excited, come work with us, let's do the cleanup. That's not how learning sticks. You scientists know better. You know the neuroscience, the neuroplasticity of the brain. You know, you have all the data. You know how learning can actually stick and how learning can actually be pushed. You know how you can turn this session here around and make everyone in this room live with the power of understanding of a bravado, right? If I can use that one. But because you know it, you know what happens when she's talking to Elena's brain. You know what happens. You know about teaching. You know about all those techniques. So bring out your data as a scientist and let's help the minister to advocate this the right way with the backing of the right people, right? And yeah, I agree that the youth are the majority in the country. I'll get them invested in the cause. And also, I would say you need also to look at the artists. Artists are doing amazing works with trash. They can take all these plastic photos and do amazing stuff, and it will like create a vivid description of this slogan actually. What artists can do with this plastics to pass that slogan or the theme of today's event is incredible, and it will stick in people's minds forever. So look at the artists, look at the scientific community, look at the legal policy framework, enforce those laws. Tanzania has got amazing. I tell you, look at the laws, they are there, they are amazing. So I will just end there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masanja. So before I go back to Professor Mgaya, I'd like to, Yusuph Masanja has just mentioned that, scientists shouldn't be neutral in the policy discussion, that it's a political problem, but we also need the scientists to give us the facts. So Professor Mgaya has given us an amazing, a wealth of information, statistics, much of which is global statistics, but I would like to ask Mr. Bahati Mayoma, who's an assistant lecturer at the University of Dodoma. Do you have any specific facts in your research, and what is your opinion about what Mr. Masanja just said in terms of what is the role of a scientist, of an academic, in this policy discussion that we're discussing?
Thanks. Good afternoon. Yeah, I think just to start where you ended up, we as scientists, we have done some study. And I know if we don't have data, it will be very difficult for politicians actually to support you. So one of the missing points, especially in Tanzania and in the Rio region, is that we are not having enough data from these politicians. There is one thing, even if you see that you have plastic in the ocean or in the street, eventually people want to quantify. They want to see on the data how much do we have in the environment. And as a young scientist, one of my role was to make sure that I participate in filling that gap. And the good news that now we have some information, it's not enough, but at least we have done some studies in the Lake Victoria. And they found that some of the fish, especially Nile perch and Nile trapia, they're having plastic inside their stomach, what we call GIT. And this now actually could be used as props for starting a mass campaign. If you look at the Rio region in general, in South Africa to coast of Somalia, we are having a big challenge. If you see on the global map, you will find that there is nothing actually which is being documented, except for a few studies, I think, in South Africa and somewhere between Ghana and Nigeria. So the entire coast is seen as plain area, no data which are available. And this makes it very difficult actually to advocate for politicians. And that's why I'm saying, at least now, because of the less information, we can use that one as a backup. By the way, people I know now that there is a huge awareness globally, and I can see some young guys, senior professors like Professor Mgaya, taking part in this kind of initiative. And this means as we progress, we are likely to see many people now joining us. And that's why I was very much encouraged to attend this kind of event because I thought it would be the only place where people can come up with the ideas which have long-lasting solutions. Of course, we have several projects which are still going on along the coast, in the lakes, in the rivers. Maybe by next year we'll have a lot of data regarding the status of plastic pollution. But at least now to begin, I would say we haven't done that much, but at least we can use the few available data to convince politicians to take action. The other thing which I wanted to talk in connection with that one, I know there are a lot of campaign actually on global warming, because global warming is now like an old song. Everybody is aware, and we know how much was pumped in terms of money to create this kind of awareness. And unfortunately, the same is not being allocated for plastic. But we know that some of the aquatic organisms, they consume plastic. And the people actually should not be deceiving themselves, because even if you don't have enough information along the coast of Tanzania or Uyo region, that does not mean that our aquatic resources are not affected. The only thing which makes us seem safe is that we don't have data. But turtles, as we saw, are transboundary. So if you have turtles having plastic in their stomach or entangled in South Africa, that means the same turtle might be using the coast of Tanzania as a nesting site. If you have sharks, actually you have data here which are showing that almost more than 600 people have been found interacting with plastic. That means this is a global picture. And if it is a fish, almost if it is a shark, it doesn't matter if it is in America or in Africa. It's the same shark. And it has the same behavior when it comes to interaction with plastic. So I would say we have data. They are not enough, yes, but we know young guys, senior professors, are also taking part now. Maybe let's say by 2 years to come, we'll have enough data. But that should not make politicians blind. We should take action now because we have information. Even if there are not enough along the coast here, we can use from other people or from the other part of the world to justify that we need to take action. The moment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayoma. So to go back to Professor Mgaya, so Mr. Masanja has told us that this is a political problem. Ms. Iraba has given us one possible solution, which is to raise awareness among the youth as she is doing. And of course, Mr. Mayoma speaks about the paucity of data, that there isn't enough data in Tanzania to inform the policy debate. You mentioned in your opening remarks that plastic pollution causes floods and subsequently diseases. This, when you think about trying to incentivize Tanzanian politicians or Tanzanian citizens, surely as residents of Dar es Salaam, flooding is a huge problem. Waterborne diseases are also an important issue that people care about. So what do you think from your experience in the National Environmental Trust Fund, with your experience as an academic, at the National Institute of Medical Research, what is the way forward to encourage more funding in research in this area to get the data that Mr. Mayoma asks to have in the debate? What do you think are the possible ways to incentivize Tanzanian politicians to act accordingly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me start by mentioning or saying a word or two, if I were to answer the question, what advice would you give the minister or the policymakers dealing with the problem that we're facing? Globally, about 60 countries have started intervening or making interventions to alleviate the effects of the pollution, but to reduce the magnitude. For example, these countries have introduced bans and levies on single-use plastic items, like bags. If you go to a supermarket and you want the attendant to give you a plastic bag, you pay quite a bit. So that discourages you. Or if you pay once, then you bring back that same bag. You'll turn it, you'll convert it or turn it from single use to multiple use. And it is starting to work. There are strategies to manage the waste, better waste management strategies. There are technologies to do that. Financial incentives to change consumers' buying habits. Like I said, the levy here, the levy there. People change their habits. But also, we have to invest in research into alternative materials, alternative to plastic. If we do that, we can start to see some real change. But also, governments, including ours, should be ready to meet the rising tide of plastics. We have to be able to meet that by collectively involving everybody at the policy level, to the very bottom, to the individuals, wherever they are. We need strong government leadership and intervention. We've seen actions in that direction here in Tanzania. We don't have a shortage of laws. What we probably don't have enough or adequate is only at the implementation of or enforcement of a lot of the laws that we have. So what, see, if I go by what my colleague said, that if you don't have data, or you haven't done research, you probably don't have the right to speak. But then, despite having tangible research data on the problem of plastics, there are some data already. But if you look at the quantity of plastics around us, you really need to be told that dumping of plastics ends up clogging our drainage channels, leading to floods, or during low tide, you get a lot of plastic being casted on the beach. That to me is data. Like I said, that is data. If you walk around the beach, up and down the coast here, you see it for yourself. It's observation. If during the rainy season, you go through Jangwani, it's full of plastic. So the magnitude of the problem has been appreciated by our political leaders. And there's already a lot of talk about it. Enforcing the law, the regulations. But let me say this. You may have the political will to address this problem. But if it turns out that alternatives are very expensive, and you don't have any alternative to give people, you cannot just stop. In the morning, you just declare end to plastic bag use. You need to prepare the people. You need to make available alternatives that are economically affordable. So there we need to strike a balance between the technologies available, the alternatives that are feasible, but also people's ability. Okay. So it's very much a social issue. But in terms of data on the magnitude of the problem, there is enough to start worrying and start addressing this. And that is the incentive enough. Make everybody, we all gathered here to address the theme. Save our oceans, refuse plastic. We haven't done any research, have we?